When you're building a commander deck, what you really got to think about first is what theme are you choosing? Especially if you're building it on a budget, you need to make sure your theme works and you know what it is, and you can build around it. You can find the cheap cards that are going to save you a lot of money and add a lot of power to your deck. This is going to show you exactly what to put in your deck to get it started, to build it on a budget. Hello, this is Joe from Nerd in Korea. We are doing my favorite budget theme commanders too. So let's take a look. So budget theme commanders, I've been going through the EDHrec commanders by theme for a few months now. So I've done a whole bunch of theme videos that look at, the theme, top 5 of a theme on EDHrec for in my budget range, which is $2 or less. What I am doing is taking a look back, choosing my favorites of each theme and updating them for you to build. So I have the commander of the theme, and then I look at like 3 cards to include to start building the deck that are also budget. So you can really get a good idea of where to take your deck, kind of thing. I am updating prices and deck numbers, but keeping the rest of the picks. So my 99 picks, as long as they're still budget, I am keeping them. There's one on this list where I had to change it because it went from like $1 to like over $4, I think. One commander I wanted to use actually wasn't budget anymore either. I do have it in my binder, so it's kind of a good thing, but yeah. Please hit like and subscribe. It helps so much, and if you don't hit like and subscribe, a cartoonist is going to draw like a really unflattering picture of you. You think it's supposed to be funny, but it won't be funny at all, and no one else will think it's funny either. So yeah, it might be a tricycle involved. Infect, our first one. So we got Brimaz, Blight of Oreskos for 2 and white-black. So this is an Orzhov commander, a 3/4. 3/4 for 4, maybe not the greatest, but yeah. Originally he was in 1,042 decks, now he's in 8,261. That sounds like a lot more, but relative to a lot of these, that's actually not that much. It's not the lowest either, but so. So this is a Phyrexian Kindred commander, and let's get into it. So whenever you cast a Phyrexian creature or artifact creature spell, incubate X, where X is that spell's mana value. So you're going to make an incubator token, which is something you can flip over to have, that a Phyrexian token of that. So every time you cast any Phyrexian spell, you're basically getting an extra token that's going to have like the same kind of, well, it's going to have +1/+1 counters equal to the casting cost. So that's pretty good. You do have to pay 2 to flip it over. It's still not bad though, right? Alright, I had to pause for a second there because it's a Lunar New Year, so it's a holiday. There's a bunch of kids outside shouting, but anyway. Okay. At the beginning of each end step, if a Phyrexian died under your control this turn, proliferate. So this is going to proliferate super easily, right? Which is not only good for Infect, it's good for pretty much anything else like that has counters. So yeah. And all you need is really Phyrexians and a sack outlet, and you're pretty much good to go. So yeah. This is, again, really a proliferate commander. Also he's able to create the Phyrexians that he can sacrifice to, keep proliferating. So also the Phyrexian tokens have +1/+1 counters on them, so you can proliferate them. This synergy is just all over the place. Anyway, 49 cents. Okay, so we've got Metastatic Angel. A 1 and a white for this 3/1. Whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, proliferate. So you're going to basically be able to make a Phyrexian if it's a Phyrexian, either artifact or creature, and you're going to be able to proliferate as well, like as long as it's a creature. But oh boy, anyway, 32 cents only. I gotta pick up a couple of these. Anyway, Vraska's Fall, 2 and a black. For this instant, each opponent sacrifices a creature or planeswalker and gets a poison counter. Force sacrifice is very, very good in this deck. That the infect is just so. Oh, sorry, the poison counter for infect is so good because you can basically just sacrifice a Phyrexian every turn, and you're going to like have your proliferate trigger every single turn. So if you get that first one down, you only need 9 more to win the game, and you can proliferate 4 times pretty easily every round. There's your win right there. Anyway, 25 sounds only. Alright, finally we have Progenitor Exarch. This is my new one. So we've got XX white. So when it enters the battlefield, incubate 3x times. So for each 2 extra mana you put in on top of the white, you're going to make an extra, basically, Phyrexian token, and it's going to have a +3/+3 on it. So again, you can flip it over and be able to get that, basically that token creature, or you can just keep it that way and sacrifice it, and then you're going to be able to keep proliferating. So this just does everything you need it to do in this deck. 32 cents again. Aura. Okay. So 3 dog Galaxy DJ. I can't talk today. I don't know why. 1 red white for this 1/5. Okay, a 1/5 for 3 is pretty good actually. Back in the day, you never would have seen that. But yeah, power creep is real, people. Whenever you attack, you may pay 2 and sacrifice an aura attached to 3 dog Galaxy News DJ. And when you sacrifice an aura in this way, each other attacking creature you control create a token that's a copy of that aura attached to that creature. So basically, you just make a whole bunch of tokens. You put some auras on him. You sack the auras, and all of your tokens get that aura. Especially with white, you've got a whole bunch of like protection from creature effects. So you just give your like whole board protection from like the color, protection from creatures, protection from whatever, and you just win. Yeah, it's terrifying. He was in 1,326 decks originally. He's now in 1,968. So he only gained like just over 600. That's real low. I think I had one on the last list that was even lower than that, but that's quite low. So yeah, Boros commanders are more commonly used in an equipment Voltron deck. So that's something you're seeing Boros move more and more toward, is like kind of like a token low attack power strategy, where it's almost the opposite of this like Voltron thing you'd expect from Boros. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, my brain is extra bad today. So again, you got like Arabella and things like that as well. You could probably throw into this deck if you want to do like a low attack power. That would synergize very nicely. But there's a lot of ways to come at this. Anyway, 25 cents. Detectives Phoenix. This is just at my limit right now. So for 2 and a red is a 2/2 flying haste. But bestow 1 red. For only 1 red, you can cast this as an aura enchantment on something. Probably 3 dog DJ. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2. It has flying and haste. So you can give your whole board +2/+2, flying and haste. I guess not your whole board. Your whole board except for your commander. Again, so this is like very much like the complete opposite of that Voltron build. This really turns it on its head, which I kind of like. Anyway, $2 for that. Archon of Sun's Grace, 2 whites for this 3/4 flying lifelink. Pegasus creatures you control have lifelink. Oh boy, and we have Constellation. Constellation, I think I did a video on Constellation. If you have an aura or an enchantment deck in general, the first thing you should really look at is Constellation. So whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, create a 2/2 white Pegasus creature token with flying. So yeah, you're going to cast that aura, put it on your 3 dog News DJ. Constellation is going to trigger. It's going to make this 2/2 flyer with lifelink, right? Yeah. And then yeah, he will attack you'll sacrifice that enchantment, and that aura is going to go basically a copy or a token copy of that aura is going on that creature that has flying and lifelink as well. Like, oh boy. Anyway, 47 cents only. Why? I think it actually dropped in price. I don't get it. Umbra Mystics for 2 and a white. Auras attached to permanents you control have totem armor. Totem armor basically means that, like, if the creature would die, instead you destroy the token, or sorry, you destroy the aura, and yeah, it stays. This is going to give you so much basically survival for your board. Yeah. And auras attached to permanents you control. It doesn't say other. So if you get one of these token auras on her, she's going to have totem armor as well. Meaning that you just keep it there. That's really the main downside is usually like when your creature gets wiped out, everything goes to the graveyard with them, the auras with them. This is going to like only send the aura and keep the creature, which you can just like keep sacrificing enchantments to keep buffing these creatures. Like, oh, this is crazy. Anyway, $1 only. Another thing I gotta order. Okay, so Legendary. I want everyone to keep in mind that this is not just for people who know the format really well. It's for newer people, okay? So sometimes I'll include commanders that are well known, but maybe not to people who are newer to the format. So please don't leave a bunch of angry comments because I mentioned a commander you're familiar with, okay? Sese, Weatherlight Captain. Very well-known commander. For 2 and a white is a 2/2. She gets +1/+1 for each other color among legendary permanents you control. So legendary is called a super type. That means it can go on anything. So you can have legendary creature, legendary enchantment, legendary, even sorcery and instant. Those aren't permanents though, remember? You only get +1/+1 for the permanents on the battlefield. That's very important. Search your library for a legendary permanent card with converted mana cost less than Sise's power. Put that card onto the battlefield and then shuffle your library. So this is a tutor effect for a Wooburg, right? It costs 5 mana, 1 of every color. White, blue, black, red, green. That's pricey, but still amazing. Even if you're getting something that's like a 3 CMC, like it only costs 3 mana, tutoring it out and putting it straight into the battlefield is still worth it, I think. So yeah, and it just has to have a casting cost lower than her power, and she can boost her own power. Even going and getting a permanent from your library, throwing it into the battlefield can boost her power as well, because if she doesn't have those colors, she's going to get higher. So yeah, just all kinds of synergy, all kinds of really great stuff. She's 126 right now. The price actually dropped on her. I don't understand why. She's originally in 2,610 decks. She's now in 12,386. So she gained over 10,000 decks. Oh my gosh. Yeah, the main thing is boost her power and you kind of got everything else taken care of, right? So yeah. Pretty flexible, but also a clear path to, you know, what you want to do. Primeval's Glorious Rebirth. So this is 7 CMC. It's a lot for this sorcery. So that's 5 white, black. Remember, because it's a legendary sorcery, first of all, you need a legendary creature on the battlefield to be able to cast it, which you probably will. Also, she cannot tutor this out. This is a sorcery, right? So she can't tutor it out. She's going to be tutoring out all these other legendaries, though. And if they all get knocked to the graveyard, usually that'd be a very bad thing, but you're just going to be able to throw everything straight back into the battlefield, and like, it almost turns it into a win con. If there's a border wipe that just takes out the whole board, you're like kind of set to just throw everything back on the battlefield and be ready to like go again. It's only 69 cents. Hajar Loyal Bodyguard, so a red and a green. 2 CMC is nice for her because even right off the bat she can go fetch this, right? You could sacrifice him. Legendary creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain indestructible until end of turn. Really, it's like board wipe survival again, right? You spend all this mana getting all these legendary creatures out. You don't want them to just go straight to your graveyard. You've got this where you can like basically sacrifice them anytime you want, and they're going to gain indestructible. You can use this offensively or defensively. 50 cents only. Finally, Blackblade Reforged. For 2, equip creature gets +1/+1 for each land you control. Equip legendary creature is only 3. Usually equip is 7. So legendary creature 3, that goes on Sisay. Obviously this is for Sisay. You get her power up high enough, you don't really have to worry about anything other than just generating mana. Anyway, 69 cents. Tokens, okay. We got Balin the Haymaker. So he's in 4,185 decks, where he was in. Now it's 10,654 decks. So gained over 6,000 decks, pretty respectable. He is a red, green, white. You know what that means? Naya. He's Naya. What is that? That's Naya business. That's what it is. Anyway, sorry my lame joke. So tap 2 untapped tokens you control. Add 1 mana of any color. Again, none of these require that he taps. That means you can just keep doing it. That's the first amazing thing. And yeah, also it just says tokens. It doesn't say creature tokens. It doesn't say token artifacts or artifact tokens or whatever. Any token you can use for this. So things like you can make food and clues very, very easily. Just make a whole bunch of them and use them as like mana rocks, basically. Hey, tap 3 on tap tokens you control, draw a card. So you got your mana generation and card draw taken care of already. Those are the 2 kind of big hurdles that every deck needs to think about first. So very, very solid start. Tap 4 on tap tokens you control. Put 3 +1/+1 counters on Balin the Haymaker. It gains trample until end of turn. That's nuts. Again, so once again, you can do this multiple times on the same turn, which means even tap down 12 treasures. He gets +9/+9 and trample until end of turn. Permanent +9/+9, making him a what? A 13/12? And yeah, give him double strike somehow. Doesn't really matter how. And yeah, you're done. You're one-shotting people. Hey, 112 only. Oh boy. Yeah, Marinus Calgar was actually the one I wanted to do, and he is now over $5. I have one in my binder, so I'm happy about that from like a game or a budget builder's perspective. Not too happy from a card owner's perspective. I am happy. So we got Peregrine Took for 2 and a green. He's a 2/3. If one or more tokens would be created under your control, those tokens plus an additional food are created instead. So he said, oh, it's going to, anytime you make a token, you have all kinds of effects that'll make like 1 token very easily, and he's going to add a food to every trigger. Again, you can tap 2 and make mana of any color. So that's pretty good. 44 cents only. March of the Multitudes. We've got X green, white, white. Convoke also. So create X 1/1 white soldier creature tokens with lifelink. This is really good because, yeah, not only have you got something with lifelink, you're going to make a whole mass of them and probably get all these tokens can do anything you want, right? Use them for anything. Also, Convoke means you get to tap down your creatures, and for every creature, you're going to make an extra token. So if you make a bunch of token creatures, you're basically doubling your token creatures. Oh boy, 106. Wildfire Awakener. So X1 red-white also has Convoke, so same thing, where the X is just going to be like doubling. So when it enters the battlefield, create X1/1 red elemental creature tokens with. Whenever this creature becomes tapped, it deals 1 damage to target player. So yeah, you can just make a whole pile of these, tap them any way you can. Again, if you even have something with saddle, you can tap all of them and say all of them are saddling that one creature. Even if it's like saddle 2, you can tap all of the things. And yeah, just automatically do a whole pile of damage to anyone's head. Like 133. Alright, so we are on to the Burn Commander. You can probably guess who it is by the title or by the art, I don't know. But anyway. The Pyro Hammer. She is 2 red for this 4/4. Whenever you cast an instant whenever an instant or sorcery spell you control that targets only a single creature deals damage to that creature, Immortane deals that much damage to each opponent. Oh my gosh. That's crazy. Obviously very, very Burn Commander, but also just incredible. Like, originally in 5,507 decks, now in 6,719 decks. So gained just over 1,000. Not that much compared to some, but yeah. I think there's a reason for that. And Ben from Ben Buys Beverages, and now he started a new channel called Too Many Cards and Dice. I'll link it below. Really good name. I think very easy to remember, but still very unique. He made a very good point. So this is Commander, where the deck ceases to function without her on the battlefield. There's really the downside right there. It is one of those Commanders where like the whole deck just kind of stops working the way it's supposed to if the Commander isn't on the battlefield, or if someone like takes the Commander's abilities away or something like that. The whole deck just ceases to function properly. So it's very dependent on the Commander. Anyway, 25 cents. Dealing damage to creatures is usually much easier than to like players, and she really flips that dynamic on its head. So we've got things like Shivan Meteor. We've got 3 red. It deals 13 damage to target creature, and you can suspend 2 for 1 red. Probably just cast it though, right? 25 cents only. 25 cents, 5 mana to do 13 damage to a creature and each opponent. Even in opponent, the damage to opponents, that'd be what? Like 39 damage to your opponents. Like, that's insane. Chandra's Incinerator. We got a 5 and a red for this elemental. 6/6. This spell costs X less to cast, where X is the amount of non-combat damage dealt to your opponents this turn. Probably just casting it for a red, right? Also, it has Trample. Whenever a sorcery you control deals non-combat damage to an opponent, Chandra's Incinerator deals that much damage to target creature or planeswalker that player controls. So you're going to deal damage to a creature, and this will deal down. And then, yeah, Chandra will deal... Immodane. Immodane will deal that much damage to each opponent, and then this will turn that damage around and hit each creature. It's not an instant or sorcery, so that's not infinite. It stops right there, but it's like so much removal. That's crazy. Gen removal. 149. Fire Servant. We've got 3 red. If a red instant or sorcery spell you control would deal damage, it deals double that damage instead. Doubling all your damage. So crazy. Especially with Shivan Meteor. Doubling the damage, so you're doing 26 to a creature and to each opponent. So yeah, what is that then? That's 78 damage. Insane. 42 cents. The list. Okay, so we've got Brimaz Blight of Oreskos is 49 cents only. 3 Dog Galaxy News DJ is 25 cents. This is one of those that dropped in value. I don't understand why. I think it's just because he's so unusual for Boros, maybe. Sensei Weatherlight Captain is 126. Balin the Haymaker, 112. This is taking forever to like go up in value, but I think it's going to just keep rising because it's so good. Immodane the Pyro Hammer, 25 cents only. Crazy. Anyway, take it easy.